Hello, folks. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers. Yesterday, we began our work at breaking apart the video that I did on Friday and going ahead and kind of describing some of the different parts of it and kind of honing in on them and developing them a little bit greater. Now, there have been a few people that have watched that show on Friday. The one that is the Saturday show is the beginning of something that I'm going to complete today. Well, what we were talking about was the Battle of Armageddon, but we were also talking about God taking the saints off of the planet. Gabriel, I believe when the Christians leave, that Gabriel is the one that takes them up. Now, I have described two different ways. The Bible has an open-ended statement that God calls us and we then are forever with Him. It doesn't say where we go necessarily. So it's open-ended. It's open to interpretation. When you read the book of Revelations, you're supposed to draw your own interpretation. The problem that we have is a lot of people in eschatology have gone ahead and told people what each thing is, and they have more or less closed each one of those sentences. If it's an open-ended sentence, there has to be an interpretation that you believe is the correct interpretation. Just because of the fact that somebody in a seminary says this or that does not necessarily mean that that's how it's going to be. So we all have to draw our own conclusions. We all have to say, okay, God takes us off planet. Where do we go? We are forever with Him. But does it say that we're going to be going to heaven? You see, once you're taken to heaven, and we talked about this yesterday, and that we would talk about this a little bit more. I talked about some people, they go to the porch and they're standing on the wall, okay? Others say, well, I want to see my loved ones, and so they actually go into heaven to see the loved ones that have gone on before. Once that happens, I believe it's possible that those people have crossed over. When I say crossed over, some of those people that are in the air, that are with the Lord, I believe it's a possibility that they might remain in the mortal world. But once you go to heaven, once you are there, and earth is not a part of it, okay, now you have crossed into the spiritual world. If heaven and earth are together and then you come back, you see, once you have come back, you can be immortal or you can be spiritual because heaven and earth are together. But if you go into heaven and you don't stay on the porch, on the wall, isn't it possible that maybe you've entered into the spiritual world and you no longer have the ability to be a part of the mortal world? Even when you come back, because you're going to be with God, even when you come back, you're going to be a part of the spiritual aspect because you were in heaven and there was no earth there. Therefore, you are now a spiritual part of God's kingdom and no longer a mortal part of God's kingdom. If you stay on the porch or if you stay in the air, if you stay on the wall outside of heaven, isn't it possible that then you can remain a part of the mortal world? think about it for a minute, and maybe it'll start to make sense that if you are not going to go into heaven, where there is no earth along with heaven, that you have crossed into the spiritualness of the aspect of the existence, mortal world, spiritual world. I think it's a very interesting thought, and I think it is something that we should contemplate, because if we leave this earth when Satan is battling against Michael, and this group of angels, which are fallen angels, demons, are fighting against these warrior angels, which are being led by Michael, and Gabriel says, okay, Jesus said come, and so we go off of planet Earth for a time, and we are out there for a time, either in the sky, in the air, maybe we go as far as the porch, and we stand on the wall so that we can see what's going on. Isn't it a possibility that we're still a part of the mortal world as well as the spiritual world? But once we have gone into heaven, there is no earth as of yet. And so therefore, have we crossed over to just the spiritual aspect? I think it's going to be something that's going to be very difficult for some people, because of the fact that they have mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and cousins and aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas, sons and daughters, maybe even grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It may be difficult for some people to be able to stay out of heaven. And once they cross over, is it possible now that they are in the spirit world and no longer a part of the mortal world? But if you don't go in, is it possibility that you're also part of the mortal world along with the spiritual world? I think it's an exciting thing to think about, and I think that we need to think about that. The second part of today, I want to talk about the angels. Some people wonder, how do I come up with the idea that there are 12 billion fallen angels, 12 billion warrior angels, and 12 billion guardian angels? Well, the Bible tells us that 1/3 of the angels fell. When Lucifer fought the first time against God, 1/3 of the angels went with him and they fell. Now, that would mean that 1/3 of them are fallen, 1/3 of them are warrior angels, and 1/3 of them then are guardian angels. But why 12 billion? Because of the fact that I believe that the number 12 billion is the accepted number of the people that file through earth from the time of the beginning until the time of the end. Now, we hear that there have been other civilizations on earth, some of them from off planet that came to the planet. Some of them are from earlier creations that were destroyed. Now, we hear about the Noah situation where he built the ark and so on, but that is a part of this creation. How many creations were there before Noah, before the Adam and Eve and so on that we read about in the scripture? And that takes you up through Noah, it takes you up through till today. How many other civilizations were there? Well, if those civilizations were destroyed, then they're not included, okay? But from the time of Adam and Eve until now, it is estimated that there are probably somewhere in the vicinity of 12 billion people that have filed through on the face of the earth. Therefore, it is natural to assume that each person would have a guardian angel. Now, it is possible that God assigns somebody a guardian angel, and when that person goes into the spirit world, then that guardian angel becomes somebody else's guardian angel. Or is it possible that that guardian angel stays with that person through eternity? Why would that happen? Is it possible that Satan may try to push that person out of heaven to somehow get that person gone, and therefore the guardian angel would watch over that person from the time they were conceived till the time that Jesus sets up his kingdom, and Satan then has no more control over the world. That means if you are Adam, your guardian angel would still be with you. You may be in heaven with God, but that guardian angel would still be with you. Bible tells us that even if I make my bed in hell, that God is there and he cares. Is it possible that the guardian angel is somewhere nearby? Probably not in hell, but somewhere nearby. So my wondering on it and my consideration on it is that the guardian angels would be roughly 12 billion. And because of that, then a third, or 12 billion, are fallen. A third are warrior angels, a third are guardian angels. Therefore, that is how I came up with the number. That's how I counted the angels. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers, and I want you to have a good day. Good day always starts with good prayers, and if those good prayers reach the throne of God, that's your key. You're going to have a good day, aren't you? And the longing of your heart is going to be accomplished, isn't it? Especially if it lines up with the heart of God. So with all that said, you have a